3 semen retention secrets from the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, this is definitely one of the most profound spiritual texts that I've read in my life. And in this video, I want to share with you 3 profound lessons, like I said, that really get to the core of how we can master ourselves, master our senses, and live a life dedicated to creating the welfare of the world, of ourselves, and every life that we touch as a result of that. Okay, now the first semen retention lesson from the Bhagavad Gita is that of mastering your senses, right? As Krishna tells Arjuna, the major obstacle on our path towards reaching that state of higher consciousness, of reaching that state of our purpose in life, of experiencing who we really are, is the call of the senses, right? Now the senses are driven towards pleasure, they're driven away from pain, and when we are functioning based off the call of the senses, then we are driven towards pleasure. We are engaging in behaviors for the purpose of gaining pleasure from them, right? And when we're driven through that selfish desire, it's really like an insatiable appetite, right? The more you feed that desire, the stronger that fire burns, and the more you remain stuck in the cycle of samsara, the more you remain stuck in the cycle of karma, of cause and effect, of just being enslaved to the way of the world, right? So the first step that Krishna really recommends is mastering your senses, right? Realizing that you are not your senses, you are not how you feel, you are not your thoughts, right? You are something beyond them, you are the operator of them, you are experiencing this world of senses through your body, through your mind, but you are not those things, right? So once you can overcome selfish desire, which in itself is driven from this feeling of unworthiness, right? You feel like you need to get something outside of you to feel like you're complete. You need to feel like, if I get this thing, then I'm going to be whole on myself. But the more, like he says, it's insatiable. The more you chase that thing outside of you, the more that a void builds inside of you, right? So it's the same thing with semen retention. When we are down the path of being addicted to ejaculation, we're addicted to that cheap thrill. In the short moment, it feels good, you're watching that porn, but over the long term, it destroys your well-being. It destroys your ability to show up as a strong, capable version of yourself. It weakens you. It sucks the vitality out of the rest of your organs if you're ejaculating all the time. So of course, if you are addicted to ejaculation, the only reason is because you are addicted to selfish desire. You're seeking that quick thrill, right? You're addicted to that thrill of dopamine, which in the short term, it's good, man. You feel really good in the moment. But if you exceed that over time, catches up with you. And like he says, the world of the sense, like Krishna says, the world of the senses is like, it's like nectar when you taste it, but when it reaches the belly, it's bitter like poison, right? So that's really us differentiating what feels good in the short term, sacrificing what feels good in the short term for the long-term joy that we have the potential of experiencing when we let go of selfish desire, right? Because when we let go of selfish desire, that is when we reach the next semen retention lesson from the Bhagavad Gita, which is that of selfless service, right? That is the only way to free yourself from the binds of karma, to free yourself from the cycle of samsara, to free yourself from the cycle of life and death, and really experience who you really are, okay? Because selfless service is when you act without a desire for the fruit of the act. You make the decision based on what you are here for, based on your purpose in life, based on your dharma, rather than based on what you think you can get from doing this certain behavior, right? When you dedicate yourself to a life of selfless service, I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I'm saying that I'm a student of the spiritual literature. I'm constantly experimenting and exploring ways that I can embody and live these lessons, right? Because talking about these things, it's all intellectual stimulation, but until we actually live them, until we actually align our behaviors with what these spiritual texts are telling us, then it's all just air. It's all just talk, right? At the end of the day. So dedicating yourself to a life of selfless service is really getting clear on what you are willing to die for and then living for it, right? Martin Luther King said that a man who has not discovered what he is willing to die for is not fit to live, right? You were here for a purpose, you are here for a reason, right? And semen is the source of your creative energy, and what you can create based on your personal life experiences, based on your exact genetics. That combination will never be repeated in history. It'll never be, has never been repeated in history, will never be repeated in the future. It's the unique spec that you are expressing right now, and what you are here to create, only you can do it, right? Because creativity is really what separates us from every other organism out there, every other being. We can uniquely express ourselves and create things that no other being can. And semen is the source of your creative energy, right? And when you let go of that source, when you let go of that life force energy, then you're depriving yourself of your ability to be creative in your life, right? The ability to create a life that you know you were here to create is let go of, right? So our intention is to really, rather than letting go of it, channeling it up in our own body, keeping it, retaining that energy, and using it and transforming it to create what we are here to create, right? Because at the end of the day, when you can channel that energy into the creative expression of your true essence, then that is when you live in alignment with your dharma, and that is when you create the life that you were here to create. Okay, now again, it all ties back to the third semen retention secret from the Bhagavad Gita, which is that of self-discipline, right? Krishna says that self-discipline is an essential component on the path towards self-realization. On the spiritual path, self-discipline is an essential component, right? So to be disciplined means to discipline our senses, to discipline our appetites, to discipline our mind, to discipline our body, right? To do things because we know they are the right things to do, rather than slip down the slope of doing easy things, right? Doing the things which give us pleasure in the short term but taste like poison in the end, right? So really disciplining ourselves to stay on the path, because it's definitely not easy. Like doing the right thing again and again and again every single day. Like I remember I was reading the Buddha. I'm going to make another video on the Buddha's lessons on semen retention as well. But he was saying that if there was another desire as strong as lust, then it would be very difficult for him to actually become Gautama Buddha, right? Siddhartha Gautama became Gautama Buddha, and he said that if there was another strong desire that would impel his reasoning to go down that path, then it would really hold him back from attaining that state of nirvana, the state of self-realization, right? So those are the three secrets, right? Mastering your senses, making sure that you dedicate yourself to a life of selfless service, knowing that everything that you do is for the welfare of the world, right? It sounds all great, but until you actually do it, until you actually behave in a way in alignment with that, nothing else really matters. And then obviously disciplining yourself to stay on the path again and again and again, because temptations will come, distractions will come, and those are really tests for us to stay on the path and see how dedicated we are to walking this path in our lives. Okay, so that is the gist of some lessons, some semen retention lessons from the Bhagavad Gita. I hope that you apply them. I hope that you got value from this. This has been Mo, and I'll see you in the next video.